this video, I'm going to share 5 tips when shooting Matterport models. Tip number 1, prepare the home before starting. Now it's important to prepare the home before doing Matterport scans. We recommend turning the fans off and making sure that all doors for rooms that you're going to be scanning are open. If you forget to open a door, you'll likely have to rescan all the scans that show that door closed for the model to function properly. We also recommend carrying some door stops with you to be able to prop open those self-closing doors. It's also important to go through the house to make sure that the toilet seats are down, lights are turned on, and the blinds are open. Tip number 2, scanning distance. In order to deliver a great user experience, you want your models to have consistent spacing between scans. And by consistent, I mean a similar distance between scan points. We recommend the distance between your scans be 6 to 8 feet. This makes for a good user experience and reduces the number of alignment issues you'll run into. Now, your scans don't have to be perfect, and every home is different, so you'll have to use your best judgment when you're out there, but following the 6 to 8 foot guideline is a good rule of thumb when creating Matterport models. Tip number 3, manage the occupants. When creating Matterport models, we prefer the occupants leave the home. The last thing you want is an animal or person showing up in multiple scans and having to rescan. Ideally, the occupants leave, but this isn't always possible. When they can't or don't want to leave, I usually like to advise the occupants to stay on one side of the home while I scan the other side, and then when I'm done scanning that side of the home, we switch sides. This has been a good practice to help make the Matterport capturing process easier. Tip number 4, CASITAS. Now, some properties have a separate casita that is distant from the home. When this is the case, we just create a separate model for the casita to deliver to the customer. We know that there is an additional cost associated with the additional model, but we just build that into our operating costs and don't charge extra for it. Sometimes you may be able to connect the two depending on how far away from the home the casita is, but in most cases you'll have to start a new model. Tip number 5, dealing with the sun. Now, some rooms may have direct sunlight shining on the floor. If this is the case, it's a good idea to finish that room before moving on. I've had issues in the past where I scanned a part of a room and continued in the other areas of the home and then went back to finish that room and had alignment issues because the sun shining on the floor had moved. Now, this is a pretty rare occurrence, but I do recommend scanning rooms with sunspots all at once to minimize alignment issues. All right, guys, so these are 5 tips when shooting Matterport models. If you guys have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. We'll see you guys on the next one.